Jury selection for the Amber Guyger trial, and they could be sequestered from their families for weeks.
Man's best friend in terrible conditions. You won't believe what the Humane Society says happens to our dogs at a pet store in North Texas.
She went for a swim and is now fighting for her life.
She is still here with us, and we are still fighting.
And ready for liftoff, NASA talks its next steps to visit the moon and Mars. Live from South Victory, WFAA News at 6 starts now.
Well, being selected for Amber Guyger's trial just came with a big warning for potential jurors. The judge told hundreds of people they could be sequestered for the entire trial. Thanks for joining us. I'm Chris Lawrence.
And I'm Cynthia Izaguirre. Guyger is on trial for killing Botham Jean inside his apartment last fall. WFAA's Tanya Iser has been in court all day. So, Tanya, the jury will likely be sequestered. Explain what that means.
Well, let me first of all start off by giving you exactly what the judge said. She said there is a very high likelihood that you could be sequestered for the entire trial. Now, that's just something that does not happen. It typically happens, if it's going to happen, during the punishment phase of a trial. So this will be a very rare move if the judge does opt to do this. Defense attorneys, they've been continuing to question potential jurors. They are particularly honing in on whether or not jurors could find Amber Guyger not guilty if she made a mistake. And in this case, the mistake would be that she believed Botham Jean was an intruder in her apartment. Both defense attorneys and prosecutors have 2 hours to question potential jurors. Amber Guyger has been in court. She's been here all day. At one point, a prosecutor looked at her and asked potential jurors to think in their minds, could they find her guilty of murder? And just to get back to the issue of sequestration, that would mean that jurors would be kept away from the public. They'd be in a hotel room for the entire time. There'd be no TV. There'd be no cell phone, no internet for the entire trial. And that trial is expected to last about 2 weeks. There were a number of jurors that said that was just not something that they were prepared to do.
Tanya, it's still possible the trial could be moved outside the county. Has the judge given any indication on when she will make a ruling on the change of venue motion?
No, what she has previously said is that she wanted to see if they could seat a jury. So we don't know if she will make that ruling today. I can tell you that they have whittled down the original pool of 800 jurors that showed up a week ago down to 220 people. So once they finish jury questioning, then they'll be whittling it down to see if they can get 12 jurors and 4 alternates who can be fair and impartial. Back to you.
All right, our thanks to you, Tanya. And you heard Tanya, the trial could last, according to the judge, up to 2 weeks. Be sure to stay with WFAA throughout the entire trial. We will have analysis and live streams. You can find it all on our free WFAA app.
Well, the Humane Society is leveling some alarming accusations against a pet store in North Texas. And I have to warn you, these images they're disturbing. The group sent people undercover to the Petland store in Frisco. They say over the course of a month, they found underweight and sick puppies, some of whom were force-fed remedies before visiting the vet. The investigation only ended after its investigator got sick from touching the pets at the store. The Humane Society says former employees told them they put dying animals in the freezer at Petland. Now, Petland is calling the investigation inaccurate and says that investigator was uneducated. Quote, the store has a consulting veterinarian. Every puppy is examined upon arriving at the store, and the vet visits weekly for any follow-up checks. Petland goes on to say the investigator is clearly not a licensed vet. Food intake is monitored daily by the kennel staff, and the consulting veterinarian visits weekly. This type of allegation is unacceptable and demonstrates the depth to which the Humane Society will go.
Other news tonight, prayers are flooding in for this 10-year-old girl who contracted a rare brain-eating amoeba on the Brazos River. There have been just 4 recorded survivors in the U.S. in the past 50 years, but her family believes she is about to become the 5th survivor. Here's Lauren Zakalik.
Her family says Lily Mae Avant has always been tough.
She's been a fighter from birth. She came into this world fighting.
Her tenacity needed now more than ever. The 10-year-old who lives near Waco is in a medically induced coma at Cook Children's Medical Center in Fort Worth. A brain-eating amoeba is to blame.
She is still here with us, and we are still fighting.
Her aunt and cousin say Lily had gone swimming in the Brazos River Labor Day weekend.
The water is in Lily's backyard. She has swim in there day in, day out.
About a week later, she had a fever and headache. Doctors thought it was a virus, but soon she was incoherent. She was flown Tuesday to Cook Children's, where she was given an amoeba-fighting pill, a pill that would not have been available had it not been for this family.
Our mission is coming to fruition, and we're here for Lily.
Julie and Jeremy Lewis of Midlothian lost their son, Kyle, to a brain-eating amoeba in 2010. They then pushed for this drug to be made available in hospitals. It wasn't available for their son. In 2016, it became a reality.
Within a year, it was in 20-something hospitals. This was the first hospital in the nation to have it. We wanted it here because Kyle was here.
The state health department says amoebas themselves are actually quite common, usually found in warm, fresh water. The infection, however, is not. The state says they typically see only 0 or 1 cases a year. Lily's case is the first in 2019.
If you do swim in fresh water, the state advises to hold your nose, use nose clips, and avoid putting your head underwater.
It's the thing you read about, but it doesn't happen to you until it happens to you.
The family and friends you see here remain by Lily's side. She's a fierce fighter, they say, who will pull through.
And she's going to be number 5 to survive.
In Fort Worth, I'm Lauren Zakalik.
Now, the CDC says you cannot get infected with this condition from swallowing water, only if the water goes up your nose. There have been just 145 confirmed cases in the U.S. We've included more information on our website, WFAA.com. A great update tonight on the dance team mom who was scammed out of thousands of dollars. We first told you last night about Camille Thompson. She was having issues with Cash App for her dance team's donations, and today Cash App refunded her more than $2,000. Cash App says they will continue to work to protect their customers from these types of incidents.
Hell yes, we're going to take your AR-15, your AK-47. We're not going to allow it to be used.
Well, it's the moment everyone's been talking about during last night's debate. Beto O'Rourke warned gun owners and staked out his position on mandatory buybacks. O'Rourke said he's not going to allow those rifles to be used against their fellow Americans.
And tonight we want to hear from you. Would you support a mandatory buyback of military-style weapons? Click the Vote Now tile on the WFAA app to weigh in. And while you're doing that, the fallout continues for O'Rourke.
Yeah, take a look at what Briscoe Cain tweeted. The Republican state representative said, "My AR is ready for you, Robert Francis," in reference to Beto's birth name. O'Rourke shared that tweet and called it a death threat, then reported Cain to the FBI. But Cain says it wasn't a threat.
It's not a threat at all. It's maybe a modern way to paraphrase, like I've said multiple times, come and take it. And then escalated it to DPS.
Representative Cain says his wife is now under DPS protective custody, all because of threats he's received over that tweet.
You know, heart disease is the leading cause of death in the U.S., but this weekend you have a chance to help bring that number down. Tomorrow is the American Heart Association's Heart Walk in Dallas and Fort Worth. The one in Dallas is the biggest in the country. Both walks start at 9 in the morning, and there's still time to join our team and help raise money for some of the life-saving research and new programs that help patients lower their risk of heart disease. I'll be down there with my kids. Would love to see you at the base of Reunion Tower. You know, football really has a way of bringing Texans together. Next at 6, the team coming together to support El Paso.
Also ahead, the 21st century space race. NASA visits North Texas, pitching its vision to reach the moon and Mars.
And we're ending the week with something to make you smile.
Yep, you don't want to miss it. All coming up next. Tonight is a special one for 2 football teams in the Austin area. A team from El Paso is coming to town, and you know that's not a short drive. So a lot of those students won't have loved ones in the stands cheering them on. Well, some local fans are planning to sit on the visitor side to show respect and honor and hospitality. The head coach says it's no surprise the community is doing this.
You know, it just takes 1 or 2 awesome people like that to start something, and the next thing you know, you have 500 t-shirts sold or whatever the number is, and emails and phone calls and people jumping on board wanting to support it.
By the way, they've raised $2,000 for El Paso for first responders by selling all those shirts.
You know, a trip to the moon and eventually even maybe Mars. Are you ready for liftoff?
Next at 6, we sit down with the man in charge of NASA to learn how it's all possible. And we want to take another look at our live poll. We asked you if you would support a mandatory buyback of military-style weapons. And here are the results tonight. Pretty close. 53% of you say yes, while 47% of you say no. More than 2,300 of you voted. Thanks for participating.
Well, who didn't dream of being an astronaut at some point? I know before I figured out I didn't have the science chops, I sure did. Kevin Reese sat down with the man responsible for making sure those dreams still have a chance to take flight.
I went to Arlington Martin. Any Arlington Martin High School folks here? Well, they didn't do the right thing then, did they?
The one-time Dallas area resident is, by his own admission, NASA's #1 salesman and selling the NASA vision of the man who appointed him, President Donald Trump.
Never.
Just on a personal level?
I never would have guessed.
He's a Navy veteran, 44 years old, a 3-term congressman from Oklahoma, and now in charge of a $21 billion budget.
I will tell you, this is the best job I've ever had. I'm so grateful for it.
His appointment was controversial a year and a half ago. He is not a scientist, he's a politician, the first member of Congress to lead NASA.
And then, of course, you have to leave the moon by firing that single engine.
But today, in a speech to the Dallas think tank, the Institute for Policy Innovation, the science of getting to the moon and Mars was the sales pitch he was here to deliver.
To go farther, we must be able to sustain missions.
NASA's Artemis program is on track to put the first man and the first woman on the moon by the year 2024. The science of extracting ice and water from the lunar surface, key to fueling an eventual trip to Mars.
We have to learn how to live and work on another world for 2 years. The moon is the proving ground. Mars is the destination.
NASA has been able to focus on the Artemis project while commercial partners like SpaceX have helped supply the International Space Station. Commercial collaborations that will continue to the moon and beyond.
And the president has been very clear. We're going to launch American astronauts from American soil on American rockets. We're going to be preeminent in space, and NASA is going to lead that effort.
In Greek mythology, Artemis is the twin sister of Apollo. She is also the goddess of the moon, and a name that promises the future of space isn't just limited to male test pilots.
I think it's a wonderful story, and I can tell you members of Congress on both sides are interested in seeing all of America walk on the moon.
It's one small step for man.
A return to the moon now T-minus 5 years and counting.
Giant leap for mankind.
In Dallas, I'm Kevin Reese.
Fingers crossed, because I would love to see that happen.
Wouldn't that be amazing? I mean, even you think about like our parents, when to think that somebody was on the moon at some point.
Oh yeah, they still remember that day like it was yesterday.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm just
one of those seminal moments everybody remember where they were when they watched that happen.
Yeah. I'm hoping that we're around when they put someone on Mars, and how cool is that going to be?
Yeah, I know.
Very fast.
Well, I know a lot of the kids, what is it, about 6:17? So what are we, about an hour from kickoff?
Yeah, it's Friday Night Football time, and if you remember last year, I've got some much better news for you this year. Take a look. There's no rain in the forecast tonight. I tell you, we were talking to Dale last night. Every Friday in September had rain. It was horrible. Now, this is going to be just fine. 87 degrees if you're going to Bearcat Stadium in Aledo. 85 degrees at 9 o'clock. By 10, we're at 83 degrees. And another football game, Coppell Cowboys versus Allen Eagles at Eagle Stadium in Allen. Temperatures pretty warm in the upper 80s through most of the game. Izzy, you remember this festival here?
33rd annual. Come join us.
Yes, in Izzy's hometown there. Great fest. 90 degrees this evening. Saturday and Sunday will be in the middle 90s. It's going to be a really nice weekend. The only thing I would say, it's a little warmer than normal for this time of the year. The normal high is 95. The normal high is 89. We got to 95. It seems like 95 is the new normal from what it feels like, right?
It felt like it today for sure.
I'm telling you, it's been so warm. In fact, this is another record we want to bring up again. The highs every day so far this month have been 95 degrees or warmer. That's the first time that's ever happened on record here at DFW, where we've had the first 13 days of September warmer than 95. And I tell you what, the next several days, all the way through the middle of next week, look to follow suit. 93 right now, feels like 94, dew points in the low 60s, pretty comfortable. You want to see a sight that's not so pretty. This is what I was talking about the last several days, the rain chance. You see here some scattered showers and storms near Sherman. Unfortunately, on the other side of the Red River and west toward Abilene. Watch this 18-hour loop, all right? I don't normally say that because that sounds horribly boring, but if you watch, there's a cold front that starts to swipe into North Texas, and as it does, look at all this rain from Wichita Falls to Oklahoma City, and it's gone. We tried. That's what I was afraid of. I was telling you the last couple of days, the rain chance is really slim. As the cold front moves in, it will start to fade out. Drought, a big problem across the area. Moderate drought for most of North Texas. And that's left a lot of our counties under burn bans. So if you look from Navarro County, Ellis, Johnson, Hill County, Rockwall County, Kaufman, Collin, all of these counties do have burn bans in effect because it's gotten so dry over the last couple of months. Quick check on the tropics as well. This is what we've been monitoring right here. This is now a tropical depression. This is likely to become Umberto this weekend. It's moving northwest at 8 miles per hour. Tropical storm warnings for the Bahamas, a tropical storm watch for the east coast of Florida. Where 1 to maybe 4 inches of rain will fall between Palm Beach and Daytona. But like they did with Dorian, Umberto very likely to kind of skim by off to the east. It's a tropical storm with winds of 50 miles per hour early Sunday morning. It'll strengthen a little bit by Sunday afternoon and then possibly becomes a Category 1 hurricane well off the coast of the U.S. So not a concern for us, but by Monday afternoon, there it is, a Cat 1. Tonight, 75 degrees, partly cloudy skies. Any rain that we have will come to an end. And by any rain I have, I mean the 1% of you actually seeing rain. 96 tomorrow. There's the next 10. Hey, we might drop below 95 by Thursday and Friday of next week with some scattered showers and storms. Other than that, it's just a quiet 10-day forecast. And Mike, like we've been saying, Friday Night Football last year was horrendous.
Thursdays and Fridays
Yes.
all last year was rough. So to see any sort of sign, I don't care if it's 95. I will take 95. I will take 95 in late November as long as there's no rain. I really don't care after what we got last year for sure. Cowboys in Washington on Sunday as their patty cake start to the season continues. The first 3 weeks of this 2019 season, the Cowboys play 3 of the 5 worst teams in the league. New York last week, Washington on Sunday, and then the woeful Miami Dolphins in Week 3. Things do pick up after that as they travel to New Orleans to face the Saints and then host the Packers, but the Cowboys should waltz their way to 3-0. Of course, they can't approach it that way. Looking ahead to the Saints game is how you fly to New Orleans with a shocking 1-2 record. So all this week, of course, the focus is on this Washington team and what they bring to the table. They did jump to a 17-0 lead on Philly last week, only to be outscored 32-3 over a 2-quarter stretch to let the Eagles come back for the win. So do the Cowboys get Dr. Jekyll or Mr. Hyde on Sunday?
Familiar with this scheme, obviously. Being able to play these guys for a couple of years, knowing that they've added some defensive coaches, there may be some things, and some of these coaches are former DC, so these may be some things that pop up that haven't been on film, but obviously a good defense. Landon Collins, very familiar with him coming over from New York, so he adds something to that back end, but we like our matchups.
We like our matchups. That final sentence from Dak was definitely the most truthful of the bunch. Miami Dolphins safety Minkah Fitzpatrick's agents have been given permission by the organization to seek a trade, which has piqued the interest of Cowboys fans inevitably. In a text conversation with a Cowboys front office source about an hour ago, I asked how realistic their interest is. The response was, quote, nothing right now. I found it intriguing that wasn't an outright no. His response to that was, don't be. So don't expect Fitzpatrick to come to Dallas. Rangers host the Oakland A's tonight as they start the third-to-last series ever at Globe Life Park. The Rangers have 9 games remaining at the Temple, including this evening's game. This 3-game set with these 3 game set with Oakland, then 3 with Boston starting September 24th, and then the final series ever at the Globe, 3 with the Yankees from September 27th to the 29th. That's all that remains. So if you want to get your tickets, do so quickly for one final visit. Tonight's game of the week at the high school level is Forney versus North Forney, a rivalry matchup to be certain. You'll see the big guy out there tonight. Dell Hansen will be live at halftime on Facebook Live and live at 10 on the newscast with highlights from these two teams as we kick off Week 3 of high school football.
All right, thank you, Mike. We'll be right back.
Tell me something good.
Yeah, we wanted to end the week on a good note.
Okay, so we went to Clyde Warren Park and asked people to share some good news with us.
I got a great new opportunity at work that I started this week.
That's what I'm very excited about, is just spreading kindness.
This environment, this weather, just being here in the park, being able to meet people.
Life is good. Everything's good. We need more positivity out there, so try to spread it.
It is good to be outdoors on a beautiful day like today, watching all the kids playing in the sprinklers and on the playground, being surrounded by wonderful places of art like the Dallas Museum of Art behind me and the Nasher.
I'll tell you what made me smile today. I went to have lunch with my twins, and my daughter just gave me a big old hug before I left.
I smiled just being able to see you.
Oh, yeah, sure.